But there's still much mystery surrounding the Fast and Furious scandal. So far, no one in justice will own up to authorizing it. But in the meantime, the United States Senate is taking action, and it's unanimous action. We spoke with Senator John Cornyn a short time ago. Senator, nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Okay, Fast and Furious certainly has drawn a lot of attention across the nation, but you have a particular amendment that was just voted on. Tell me about it.
Well, it's basically to cut off funds for these kind of gun-walking programs that unbelievably sprung up in Phoenix, and we don't know how high it went, but the Attorney General has denied knowing about it until several months after a border agent, Brian Terry, was killed in December 2010. I find that implausible. And of course, some of the evidence seems to contradict that. Apparently memos have gone across his desk about a year earlier, but now he said he didn't read his own memos and he didn't really know anything about it. But we shut it down. It can't happen again. It was a bad idea, and hopefully will never be repeated.
All right, now, was it a unanimous vote yesterday?
It was. The closest thing we come to bipartisan support, 99-0. We had one senator out not voting. But I was pleasantly surprised. Senator Barbara Mikulski said, you know, she agreed with me this is a bad program. She said she'll work with us to try to get the answers that we need from Eric Holder. And frankly, Eric Holder's not been very forthcoming. He needs to be much more forthcoming. Let us know when he found out about it, or if he didn't know about it, why not, and the people held accountable who were responsible.
Now, as I understand it, though, I think he has himself, I mean, the Justice Department agrees it was a bad idea at this point, right? Everyone agrees it's a bad idea?
I agree. Yes, okay. That's right.
It's a little bit sort of curious that we've gotten to such a point there where everybody agrees it's a bad idea, but we still have to legislate so it doesn't happen again. We're trying to legislate stupidity out of ourselves.
Well, part of it is just to keep the heat on, and frankly the bright light of publicity on this, so we can get Eric Holder and the Department of Justice to come clean with the facts.
But you see the irony in the fact that we have to, I mean, everyone thinks it's a bad idea, but we have to pass legislation so we don't do it again.
Well, yeah, that's very strange. I agree. But if we get the answers and we find out who was responsible and they're held accountable, then I think that will be worth the effort. That's the thing I think that drives people crazy about Washington. They feel like all this crazy stuff, bad things happen, but nobody ever gets held accountable. And I think that's what this is all about.
What's taking so long to get the answers? I mean, it seems, I know that the question everybody wants is like, who's the highest person in government who signed off on Fast and Furious? It's a pretty simple question. We ought to be able to find that out with a phone call.
You would think so. The president himself said, and Eric Holder has said, that the acting inspector general is investigating, but that started in February.
Well, he could make one phone call.
Well, I mean, it's not that complicated. Senator Grassley on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Darrell Issa in the House, have been having to, you know, extract the information using subpoena power over the House, and it shouldn't be that hard. But what happens in Washington, as you know, sometimes when people make mistakes, it's not necessarily the mistake, it's the cover-up, and I'm afraid that's kind of where we're headed.
So you think that they're deliberately trying to, they're not busy with other things, they're deliberately trying to cover something up, and is that your thinking?
Well, they're certainly giving us a stiff arm. They're not being cooperative, and a lot of the contradictory evidence that's just which has been disclosed by the investigation has not been explained. To me, when a Border Patrol agent is killed using one of these 2,000 firearms that were purchased from dealers in the United States and allowed with the knowledge of the U.S. government to walk across the border and get in the hands of the cartels, that should be news. And the Attorney General should know about it. And if he doesn't know about it, I think if I were him, I would want to know why didn't I know about this and who authorized this, and hold the people responsible accountable.
Let me just switch a little topic to the whole border, Eric, since it is your state. There are some who sort of I don't think they think it as serious as some other people do in terms of the level of seriousness and violence down there. Can you give me an assessment of the Texas-Mexico border?
Well, what's happening in Mexico now is nothing short of a drug war. About 40,000 people killed as a result of President Calderon and the federal government in Mexico challenging the cartels and trying to bring them to justice. But these folks are very well armed. They've got a lot of money from drug sales here in the United States. They have extended networks of gangs that distribute the drugs.
So it's coming into the United States, in your opinion?
Yes, but this is important, though, Greta. Some of the border towns in the Texas side are some of the safest cities in America, like El Paso is one of the safest. Juarez, on the other side of the river that you can see, standing on the bridge is one of the most dangerous. I think the cartels realize if they spill over in a significant way into the United States, they will reap a whirlwind of American law enforcement on them, and they don't want to do that.
Is there a difference between the cities and the ranch areas in that? I know people say El Paso is safe, but what about the ranch areas? I mean, a lot of the ranchers tell us something that they're worried.
Well, they should be worried because our border still is not under control. Notwithstanding the protestations of the President and Secretary Napolitano, we had well over 500,000 people coming across last year, selling drugs, people, and whatnot, coming into the United States. 59,000 of them came from countries other than Mexico. So we know Mexico remains a pipeline for a lot of illicit activity, and it's very dangerous. And people who used to be able to be out on their ranches in South Texas and enjoy those are afraid now because of the violence and the cartels and the type of people that are coming across it are much different from the way it used to be.
Senator, thanks, sir. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.